Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we do have two brand new ASICs, and these are ALEO ASICs, which is something we've been waiting for a very long time, coming from IceRiver and GoldShell. Oddly enough, it's not the one we're expecting, which was from bitmain, but here we are. We do have the specs, potential profitability, roundabouts on prices, and release windows. Okay, so we'll talk about it. We'll give our thoughts and we'll go through the risk factors, right? That's going to be the biggest thing with these things. Going to be a ton of risk, but we'll talk about it. We'll look at profitability and just things to factor in if you're considering getting one of these things, okay? So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So pretty big, kind of out of left field. Honestly, wasn't expecting anything from either of these guys just because, again, bitmain did make their announcement back in October 23, right? Well over a year ago. And even before then, there had already been rumors of ALEO ASICs already from smaller no-name manufacturers, which realistically they probably did get made and they've been probably mining on it this entire time. But the first ones that are publicly available to us are from IceRiver and GoldShell. We'll start with the IceRiver unit. The AE0, they have it listed as 50 mega hash, although realistically it's going to be 50 mega proofs, right? It's a whole different system. It's not your typical miner. These are zero knowledge provers, right? They're doing proofs. Algorithm is ZK Snark. Well, just something to factor in before I forget. What's going to be interesting if these are being able to be used for other potential projects in the future. Something we're not going to know, maybe, maybe not, but that would be kind of interesting because there are other projects that will require proving, right? Things like Tycho, Scroll, and quite a few others. For any guys who've been following, because again, it's something we've been talking about for quite a while. Kind of interesting there, but let's get right to this profitability. So 37 bucks a day in revenue, which is insane for a 100-watt miner, especially considering ALEO's price action going from $6 literally months ago down to 61 cents. So the biggest thing here is going to be the yield, yielding about 60 ALEO a day currently. Pretty insane, right? Especially if it were to run up back up to that $5 price point. That'd be like the equivalent of 300 bucks a day. Although we all know, right, we've learned over and over and over these past 2 years, that is not going to be the case. Why? Because of the difficulty is going to go up massively. In this case, it's going to be even more aggressive than some of the others just because these things are massively, massively efficient. Okay? So depending on how many units they make, right, because that's the variable here, we just don't know. We don't know how many units they're going to make, whether it's going to be a couple hundred or a couple thousand. Our guess obviously is going to be a couple thousand. It's going to have a mega, 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 mega impact on the yield. Okay? So again, just for a quick comparison's sake, so we can get an idea of how much more efficient these little things are in comparison to the existing infrastructure, which are what? GPUs. Okay, so the king of the hill with the current GPUs is what? The 4090. So again, this thing is supposedly going to be 50 megaproofs a second. In terms of a 4090, to hit that 50 megaproofs a second, you're going to need 35 4090s. 35 4090s to hit that amount of hash rate. Nowhere near the efficiency. Okay, again, you're going to hit your 50 megaproofs a second. Look at that wattage. 10,850 watts to get those 60-something ALEO. Massive improvement in the hash rate, in the efficiency of this thing. Okay, so you can bet 100% all GPU mining on ALEO, once these things are available, is going to cease because these things are not going to be profitable because it's such a big jump. Similar to a lot of these other algorithms that are core intensive that went up massively. So things like Caspa, Lithium, it's such a massive increase. And that's why GPUs are just going to be completely cut off. Kind of the issue here, especially if you're a GPU miner, there should be something of concern because there's a lot of people that were still currently mining ALEO. And guess what? They're no longer going to be mining ALEO. They're now going to be dispersed onto all the other algorithms, which unfortunately there's not a ton that are still very profitable, right? The majority are barely profitable. After this goes through, which they're going to release in the next month or two, we definitely need more price appreciation. Okay, so things may get rough a little bit if we don't start seeing mega pumps, which hopefully we do start seeing some, but even then it's gonna potentially get rough. Okay, so just kind of factor that in. But mega efficient. So that's the IceRiver unit, and we do have a GoldShell unit also, which is super lacking, right? So both of these got leaked at the same time. There's the AE box, 37 mega hash. So obviously quite a big chunk less on the power as far as the megaproofs a second go, and then a lot more electric, 360 watts versus the 100 of the other guy. There's a 5x difference in efficiency here. 9.73 joules a megaproof in comparison with 2. Okay, damn near, not exactly, but about 5x difference in efficiency. Massive difference. Would not consider the GoldShell at all whatsoever. Why? Because efficiency is going to be important here potentially if you're considering getting one of these things. Why? Because again, the fact that this thing is this much more efficient, we know 100% there is a bitmain unit coming, which at minimum most likely will match this, could potentially even be better. Okay, therefore potentially rendering these things useless potentially within a few months. Okay, this is why it's kind of important. It's such a big difference though, man. It's kind of crazy. We'll see what it is. The appeal here maybe would be if price is there, but we all know that GoldShell is horrible with their pricing schemes. We'll see. Maybe they'll learn this time, but it doesn't even look like it now. Okay, so this thing is going to be dead out of the water right off the rip. Okay, so let's look at prices and such here. So we don't have official MSRPs, right? My guess is the GoldShell, typically when they leak their prices, it does tend to be pretty spot on. Okay, so NHash, for example, has it listed at 3,800 and available. It says in stock, so they're going to get it probably here in the next few days. ASIC Marketplace has them beat actually at 3,300. So this would be a much better deal. So my guess would be MSRP is probably going to be like 3,500 from GoldShell, which is not looking too great because ASIC Marketplace does have the AE0 at $19.99. Not going to deliver till March though, right? So it does look like availability on the GoldShell unit is going to be soon, which is why there is a premium. But you have to factor in, do you think you're going to make up the difference amount within that time? Maybe, probably not though, right? Because again, the wild card here is going to be bitmain. We don't know. Maybe bitmain has had it in the wings. They've been pre-mining on it. We don't know. Then maybe they've just been waiting for a reason to have to drop it. This may be it, right? So it might be here in the next few weeks. It might be here in the next few months. We don't really know. Okay, so a lot of risk factors here, especially just we don't know the amount of units that are going to release, right? At this point, if it's only one unit and they feel confident they're going to have quite the heads up, at least a few months, then it could make sense. But the fact that these two are going to release simultaneously, you know that both of them now are going to ramp up production and make as many of these damn things as they can just to kind of outpace each other and especially try to outpace that bitmain unit. Okay. Now, as far as the pricing goes, whether or not it's worth the degen factor, the AE0 coming in cheaper at $2,000. Maybe we're going to have to wait for the MSRP though. Downfall here is it does look like the shipping window is going to be much later. This to me makes it a huge risk factor. Why? Because if the bitmain unit comes out, what you're kind of degenning on and betting on here is getting this unit in hand before everybody else, before a bigger, better miner, before the hash rate goes up massively to recoup that profit. That's kind of the bet here. Okay, especially with these little guys. Especially this is going to be actually the best indicator out of anything. Just like what we talked about with like the AL box and the AL0, an easy way to see where this thing is priced at compared to the eventual big boy unit that's going to come out, right? We do know that the bitmain unit is going to come out. We do know that most likely it's going to be at least on par with the IceRiver, most likely, or potentially even better, right? But most likely at least on par with the AE0. I'd be highly surprised if IceRiver actually outpaced them here. So again, easy math purposes, what do we know? Big boy ASICs are now between 3,500 to 4,000 watts. Okay, so you can multiply these units by about 35 of them, right? So if it's going to take about 35 units to equal that one ASIC, that means you're valuing that big boy ASIC at 70,000 bucks. Do you think any ASIC is worth $70,000? Hell to the no. Okay? Absolutely not. That's an immediate thing right there, right? So at $2,000, absolutely not. Could it be worth considering if it's significantly lower? Maybe $1,000, maybe 800 bucks. Potentially, maybe, but honestly, the risk is so high, especially if this thing's not going to come out till March, right? If this thing was going to start shipping next week, and the MSRP is actually closer to $1,000, then it might be worth the gamble because you know nobody's going to buy the damn GoldShell, especially if it's going to be at $3,000. So you can kind of throw that one out the window. So essentially, it's just going to be the AE0, and you're going to take a bet on how long it's going to take for that bitmain unit to come out, right? Do you think it'll be out soon? Maybe you somehow heard a rumor that it got delayed, something happened, and it's not going to be until late summer or something. Then at that point, it could potentially make sense, right? But to me, again, the likelihood of it coming around, probably around the same time frame as March, is extremely, extremely, extremely high. Okay, that would 100% be my bet when the bitmain unit comes out, if it doesn't even get announced here in the next few days. Honestly, with these things being announced, I wouldn't be surprised if it's already been ready, and again, they've just been waiting for that reason to release it. Okay, so would I be pre-ordering these things? Probably not, right? At least until maybe they do make that announcement and then they release the price, and Bitmain's greedy as fuck and they decide to price it at $70,000. Then at that point, maybe it can make sense because you know nobody's going to buy it at that price and you have at least a few months, right? So a lot of things to consider here, but just immediately eyeballing it, looking at it, not even having to go into deep. Again, just looking at the basic concept of, is this really worth a $70,000 big boy ASIC? Probably not, right? Maybe at half of that price point, because we know typically what? The extreme high end of these ASIC prices has been that 30K threshold, right? Which was true with the others. And we've seen it time and time again. Are they going to do it again? Are they going to get burned again like they have in the past? Probably, right? We've seen that these ASIC manufacturers, you would think they would have learned their lesson, all of them, including now Bitmain themselves, right? We've been talking shit about GoldShell this whole time, not learning their lesson. Bitmain did the same shit. KS3, KS5, AL3, right? Again, you would have thought they would have learned their lesson after maybe given the benefit of the doubt and maybe the third time, but no, they still didn't, right? So I don't even have faith that they would learn their lesson again. Okay, so very unpredictable space, especially with anything that is priced solely based on the profitability, right? We know this thing at tops is worth between $500 to $800. Okay, anything beyond that is 100% speculation based, right? Realistically, it's closer to like a $300 ASIC, probably where it should be, right? But because of the current profitability, that's where it's going to be until the first few batches come out. We won't know until things stabilize. But again, it's just that yield and stuff is going to change so immensely drastically because these things are so much more efficient than the current infrastructure. It's going to boot off all the GPUs pretty much 100%. Okay, so kind of to sum everything up, just extreme risk here. Again, the main bet here is you're just betting how long you're going to be able to mine before the big boy ASICs come out. And you're kind of hoping that not that many units get dropped. Maybe you're hoping it's a batch of 500 to 1,000 units, and that maybe it's only a small amount of units coming on, that essentially IceRiver controls the supply here. Okay, because essentially that's kind of what happened with the KS0, and that's why it kind of did so well, right? They had a good amount of time before the KS3 came out or any of the other competitors came out, and they were releasing them in smaller batches at a time. So those of you who got in the initial batches made out well because they gave you that time. I don't know if you're going to have that time here, right? Just like we didn't have it with the ALEO ASICs, the Radiant ASICs, and most likely a lot of these others that come out, right? So if the price point is the 500 to 800 bucks, then maybe, right? Again, we're going to have to kind of wait, kind of feel it out, see how things go, see if ALEO's price action does anything, although with these ASIC announcements, price didn't do a damn thing. As a matter of fact, it's been going lower. So we're gonna have to wait and see. But just it is interesting though. Again, my interest would be if there's gonna be any other use cases for this thing. Again, zero knowledge proofs and proving in general could be a potentially another avenue for either GPUs or other mining hardware, specifically if we're able to use these things for other projects, right? We know that, for example, there was potential like Superscaler, like that was going to be their big thing actually. Seems like they might have gone out of business though. Their website is poorly kept. Their Discord is pretty much dead. They did actually have a partnership with Tyco, which was another ZKP project, to be their preferred manufacturer. None of those units ended up coming out. They did have an ALEO machine, a Z11, a zero knowledge proof machine in the pipeline as well. None of those things made it to market. Will they ever? Honestly, doesn't seem like it because it's essentially been dead since that point. And again, this partnership was back in November of 23, right? Because that was around the time. Because again, ALEO did get pushed back a lot, right? It was supposed to come out quite a while ago, which is why a lot of these announcements from even the previous ASICs, the previous hardware, were from back then, right? And the thought process also was that the hardware was going to be different, right? Even just recently, I was pretty convinced that this bitmain machine was going to be more of a server style machine, kind of like the Filecoin machine, just because the initial hardware that was coming out for ALEO was more in that line, right? Any of those motherboards that we saw like 2 years ago that were labeled as like ALEO servers, it's kind of what they were being set up as, right? Even iPolo, I believe, actually had an ALEO server set up like that as well, right? So it does seem as the hardware has changed. This is what it is now. Is it going to continue to be? Not sure, but again, it would be interesting if we do have opportunities with other projects. So like Tycho, Scroll, there's quite a few others that all do zero knowledge proofs that do use ZK snarks, right? So that would be an interesting thing to keep our eye on. And again, just gonna have to wait and see, right? Unfortunately, the price did not react. I know a lot of people were hanging on to this and hope that it would react with any ASIC news. So far, it didn't, right? Like Alephium, when those came out, Radiant came out, they did have at least little pumps. Right now, nothing here. So we're going to have to wait and see. Going to have to wait and see realistically for the official MSRPs. The GoldShell does seem like most likely it will be at this price, and they're going to try to command this little price hike just because it does seem like they are going to be first to market. It does seem like this one is going to be shipping here in the next days to weeks versus the IceRiver unit may not be until March, right? Potentially, my guess is it's going to be a February batch, February 15th to 28th batch, and then not shipping until March, right? Most likely that'll be the case. Maybe, maybe not, but expect the official announcement here in the next few days. They were probably waiting for it, potentially either Monday or Tuesday, or maybe as soon as tomorrow, right? We're going to have to wait and see just to see what that official MSRP is. But pretty crazy machine. We're going to have to wait to see the price. At $2,000, for me, too much risk for a piece of hardware that I only see value in these next few months. If it's cheaper, maybe it's worth that degen play. But again, with ALEO kind of being so cheap, if it was at these price points, maybe it'd be slightly more appealing. But the fact that also ALEO is so cheap, if you're interested in it because it's gone down so much, might be more worthwhile to buy a little bag, which is what I've done personally. So we're going to have to wait and see. But definitely interesting. I'm going to keep my eye on it. But again, just eyeballing it, if it's in those ranges, not something I would personally be too interested in. Let me know in the comments though, guys. What do you guys think? Is this something you're going to be interested in? What price points would you be willing to pay here? Right? Because it does seem fairly interesting, but again, price point and release window are going to be big, right? So let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? When do you guys think that bitmain unit's going to come out? Do you think that they're going to now announce this thing like Monday, Tuesday, or do you think it's going to be not till further, like February, March kind of deal? Let me know in the comments, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.